Oh,
Wait.
today? Okay, there we go.
Good morning, everybody. This is Bob's Coffee Chat. I am excited to bring back Enrico Filippelli from Cerri Catering. His delicious Italian heritage cooking is going to take a holiday tone this session, and hope you're ready for some decadent, tasty, and calorie-filled treats, because we're going to have a lesson on how to make mysterious East Coast apple cider donuts. So Enrico, without going on any further, I'm going to have you tell everybody what we're going to do and how we can do it.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming into my kitchen. And I'm going to go through step by step on how to make an apple cider donut. There's going to be a few lessons on how to prepare the donuts, and I'm going to try to elaborate so it's easier to understand. So we'll go. If you have any questions, unmute yourself, stop me in the middle of it if you're confused, and let me know. But other than that, let's get rolling. All right, so making an apple cider donut, you're gonna need a few ingredients. You're gonna need some flour, some baking powder, baking soda, a little bit of butter, apple cider, heavy cream, and some eggs. And then the rest is optional. So if you want like a glaze, or if you want cinnamon sugar with it, I'll teach you how to make those, but we'll go over those later. So making the apple cider donuts, it's one of those things, the recipe I kind of came across, I didn't even know about apple cider donuts. When I found it, I'm like, oh, this sounds delicious. So I'm making them. And one of my friends from the East Coast is all, oh, you're making apple cider donuts? And I'm like, yeah, how do you know about that? She's all, well, in the East Coast, after the harvest of the apples, they just make apple cider donuts, have them with coffee, have them with hot apple cider. It's one of those things that people just love in the East Coast. And I was just blown away. I'm like, why don't we know about this in the West Coast? So here we go. West Coast, meet apple cider donuts. All right. So what we're going to be doing right now is making kind of a starter for the apple cider donuts. This is one of those things that it takes a while to make. It takes about, if you're going to make them in one day, it'll probably take you about 8 hours, for the reason you have to cool down some of the batter. So if you want to make them, I would suggest making them a day ahead, keep them in your fridge, and then they're good to go. So we're going to start off with getting our ingredients together. For the starter, what we need is about a quarter cup plus 2 tablespoons of apple juice, a quarter cup plus 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, and 3 tablespoons of butter. If you're going to use a measurement cup, you're going to have to do one thing. You're going to take the measurement, you measure the cup out, then you put it into a bowl, you whisk the flour, and then you gently put it back into the measuring cup. That's so you can have an accurate measure of what you want. Some people have always wondered, when you take a cup of flour, if you pound it in, are you putting more flour in? Yes. Will that mess up the recipe? Yes. So it's important to measure out your ingredients properly by whisking them in a bowl, and then slowly putting them into a cup, and then topping it off. How do you skip all of that? You buy yourself a scale. It's about $30. It's awesome to have, and I definitely recommend you having it. So if you're going to buy a scale, which I would recommend to do, you buy one of those OXO scales, and they're just really handy. You measure everything out by weight, which I'm about to tell you. So for the apple juice, I'm going to use 90 grams. For the all-purpose flour, I'm going to use 50 grams. The butter, it's already self-explanatory because it's on the package. You just cut out the 3 tablespoons. So first, let's measure out some apple juice. I'm going to take a bowl, place it on there, zero it out, and then I'm going to measure my apple juice, 90 grams. All right. There we go. The apple juice is measured. I'm going to put that into a pot because I'm going to heat the apple juice up with the butter. 3 tablespoons of butter. Put that on a medium heat. Get yourself a spatula to mix that up with. So we have that. Now it's time to measure the flour. Put another bowl on, make sure it zeroes out. It's not. So not every bowl is created equal, so 0. All right, time for 50 grams of all-purpose flour. Nice. I use King Arthur. It's a pretty reliable flour. So all right, here we go. All right, now we know how to weigh everything out. I'm going to put this away, and I have everything else measured out, already weighed out. So anything else I say, I've already weighed them out. And if you have any more questions about that, let me know. I'll be right back. I'm going to put the scale away. All right, I'm back. All right, so get the what we're doing is making the starter. This is kind of like, you know, bread makes a starter. There's no real like baking soda or yeast in it, but it's one of those things that's kind of like creates a deeper flavor for the apple cider donuts. So we'll create this up, melt it down. Let it come to a slight boil. Yeah, my son is going to be so excited because I'm going to have all these apple cider donuts after the cooking. What I'm going to teach you also is, you know, when you make the apple cider donuts, you cut out the donuts themselves from the batter because you roll out the batter. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep the scraps of the batter too, because those things are also delicious. You can fry those up and have little scraps left over. There's no reason why you have to throw anything away. This is a very, this recipe is very, it's necessary to have everything kind of measured out and timed out perfectly. I have a time for the donuts on how long they're supposed to cook on each side. And it's highly recommended you follow that time. All right, give me 1 second.
Enrico, do you encourage people to ask questions and unmute yourself during the process here?
I truly do. I truly do.
Everybody, so feel free to ask questions while Enrico's doing it. So it can be very interactive morning today.
Just add the flour. So we're gonna incorporate the flour into the apple juice and butter mixture, and we're gonna stir it. It's gonna take about 30 seconds to a minute for it to kind of incorporate, and you'll notice that it starts to come off the sides of the pan and that kind of clump together. That's when you know you're done. It's almost like making a roux. So
Enrico, I like your idea about buying that scale.
yeah, it's worth it. Go to Target and go get yourself a scale right away. And cooking with a scale is so much better.
And actually, for actually being on a diet and trying to reduce calories, just to measure everything that you're putting into the ingredients that you're cooking, that can make a big difference too.
Yeah, no, it's in any recipe, weight is key. So if you have the weight measured out, the recipe turns out exactly what you want every time. So when you're making it just by free willy, you have a chance of changing the flavor, which isn't a bad thing, you know. But
does that scale convert to pounds as well?
yes, it does.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Pounds, kilograms, and grams. So all right, so there we go. We have the basic starter for the apple cider donuts. Now I'm gonna have to cool this down for 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours. And you do not want to incorporate this warm. So I'm gonna let it rest. And then I'm gonna put it in an airtight container. And at that point, we'll have our donut mixture. But let's not wait 2 hours. Let's have one ready to go. All right, we got one ready to go. Boom, right there. Good stuff. Next up, blender time. All right, it's important you use a blender, not a Cuisinart, because if you use a Cuisinart, it won't blend properly. There's the Cuisinart. Well, it's not Cuisinart, but version of the Cuisinart. And here's the blender. Okay, so what's next? We're gonna bring in some more ingredients for the apple cider donuts. This, we're now making apple cider, the dough itself. What we have here is our starter. Okay, so we'll just pull that out of the all right, we get that in there. All right, so what we have here is a cup of apple juice, and that's about 250 grams in weight. Put that in there. We have a cup plus 2 tablespoons of cream. Once again, 250 grams of weight. Yes, I know that's 2 tablespoons more than the apple juice because things don't weigh the same. Liquids vary. 2 large eggs. 4 teaspoons of vanilla. And a cup of sugar. This is 200 grams. Put that on. It will kind of be shake a lot. That's why I start as lowest method and work my way up until it's all incorporated. If you have a problem, just use it, stop it and use a stick to kind of break it up. But let's start it. Increase it.
Enrico, using your ear pods work. We can't even hear the blender.
What's that, Bob?
We can't even hear the blender because your ear pods are muffling, are blocking the noise.
Isn't that awesome? I was always worried about that, but all right. Got it. I'm gonna check to see if there's any leftover, just a little bit of leftover dough. I want that all incorporated. If the dough's not, if the starter is not pureed in this, it will kind of not mess up, but it will. It could have ill effects on your rest of your donut mixture. So.
We have a comment in the chat saying that she likes your classic blender. She has one herself.
What was that, Bob?
We have a comment in the chat that one of our participants likes your classic. Oh, 2 women in the chat love your classic blender. They have this.
That's hilarious. I know. I was wondering if someone's going to notice that. It's one of those, I've had that blender for like probably 25, 30 years now. So, all right, time to make the batter for the donuts. Put that in a safe spot because you don't want to knock that over. All right. Now we have the all-purpose flour. What we have here is five cups plus 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, the equivalent of 650 grams of flour. Down in a large bowl. 4 teaspoons of diamond kosher salt. Let me hold the box out. All right, so this is the salt you buy. No other salt. If you're going to be cooking, this is the salt that if you're following a recipe, 99% of the time, this is the salt they're asking for. You know, there other salts are thicker, like the whole food salt. It just isn't as it's not as perfect as the kosher salt. Every kitchen I've ever worked in uses the diamond crystal, so use this salt. And they actually, I highly encourage everybody to use it. But now, if you want to use a finishing salt for something like fish, scallops, or steak, or vegetables, go right ahead. But when you're cooking, you add that. So that's the 4 teaspoons of kosher salt, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. All right, so that's all there. Important step: whisk your dry ingredients. You want to make sure that all that's incorporated. So when you add the wet ingredients, that it won't be as you won't have like a little pocket of baking powder somewhere. All right, so as I'm making this, I got my pot of oil that we're gonna fry the donuts in. I want it to get to 375, so I've been slowly bringing it up to 375. You can use whatever natural and neutral oil, but I highly suggest you use either a very, very light olive oil, which I've cooked with plenty of times, or avocado oil. It's I'm not going to go into the health reasons, but trust me, it's better for you. But if you want, use whatever oil you want. All right. So right now I'm going to make a little pocket right here. Just lost my pocket. So make a little pocket in the middle. And add my mixture. Why do I make that little pocket? It seems like every time I make these donuts, if I don't make that pocket, I'll have a little leftover flour down there. It's not going to kill it, but I just want to try to have everything perfectly incorporated. All right, so the mixture is into the wet mixture. The wet ingredients are into the dry ingredients. Now we're going to fold this together with the spatula. Don't whisk it. You don't want to overbeat this, because then it becomes the donuts become a little heavier and they're not as fluffy. So slowly incorporate it. Reach down to the bottom of the bowl to pull up any of the dry ingredients. And we're about to have these apple cider donuts ready to go.
Yay.
All right, next, what I'm going to need is a sheet pan. I'm going to put some plastic wrap on it. Give me 1 second while I go grab the plastic wrap.
Enrico, while you're doing that, I had a question about the kosher salt. Is it any healthier than any other salt?
No, it's just salts. I guess table salt is a little bit less smaller. So what happens is you use a little more tablespoon salt. But as far as the health reasons, I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's healthier or not. My wife, who's a doctor in metabolic health, would argue that salt is very healthy in your diet. It's what I'm making right now that's not healthy. So, oh well, we got to have treats here and there. So
Oh, I'll go back to my previous comment. Yay!
so I am putting the batter into a plastic lined sheet pan. And what I'm doing is I'm going to have to refrigerate this for about 4 hours before. Okay. So if you just want to know what the bowl looks like afterwards, you pretty much got all the ingredients incorporated, which is good. And feel free to taste the batter. Tastes so good. Sorry, everybody. I know that's cruel. All right, back with the plastic wrap. Going over it. Press it down. It's not imperative you have an even or layer. It's just what you want to do is you want to press it down so when you do pull it out, it's a little bit easier to roll. Yes, we're going to use a rolling pin. They're not scary. Just this goes into the refrigerator for about 4 hours before using. All right. There. Let's not wait. I have one already. But first, we're going to get our cutting board ready. If you have a marble, if you have a bigger kitchen counter with marble on it, skip the cutting board and just use that. Marble is delicious and is awesome to use for baking. So what we're going to do is we're going to generously put flour onto the cutting board. Yes, your kitchen's going to get messy. Sorry, people. This is baking. Baking gets messy. You want to make sure you have enough flour because the dough will stick onto the board. Here's our dough. Pulls off really easily. Boom. More flour. All right. Rolling pin, and now we're going to roll it out. I start in the middle, going out a little bit, back and forth, trying to get all the edges. Rolling's fun. It's kind of one of those things that if you have a young kid around, they'll probably enjoy doing this part, like rolling out. So I want to roll it out to about a 1/4 inch. If you don't get the right measurement, don't worry about it. Just eyeball it.
So Enrico, do you get your son to do all your rolling for you?
I know, no. He really wants to learn how to cook, but he really wants to learn how to cook steak because that's one of his favorite things to do. So one of these days, I guess I'm a father that gets scared because I've seen so many accidents in the kitchen. I'm like, I want you to be a little bit older so you don't do anything that'll hurt you. Because if I hurt you, I'm in trouble. All right. All right, so now I need some cookie cutters.
So we got a question for you, Enrico. How are you not getting flour all over your dark shirt?
I am. I got flour. I got a little flour on me.
All right, you got a thumbs up from Denise.
All right. I love it. All right. So we're going to use some pastry cutters right here. We got these. If you don't have a pastry cutter, just figure something out. Grab a can, grab a glass, grab a little baller to cut out the middle, whatever you need to do. Have fun with it. Be inventive. Okay. But I got the pastry cutter, so I'm going to cut my donuts. Cut out the middles. What I'm going to do is have a pan ready with some flour on it to put my donuts on top of. Kind of want to remove the donuts as quick as possible. The first time I made this, I realized as soon as I cut them, I left them in there, and they started sticking again back to the original dough. It was
So you don't do something with the donut holes?
oh, I'm gonna fry everything.
Okay,
Waste not, want not.
I know, right?
So donut holes. It's already sticking. That's okay. It won't be that bad.
Is there any historical background on why donuts are shaped like donuts?
I wish I did a little more research. There's a donut shop here in Santa Fe, Johnny's Donuts, and they have a whole history of the shape of the donuts and how they've evolved. So, not a historian on donuts, but boy, I do love eating them.
I get you there. I'll have to check that out. And everyone, feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. Instead of putting in the chat, you just ask Enrico directly.
So, you notice how we have all this scrap left over? Am I going to re-roll it? No, I'm not going to re-roll it. What I am going to do is I'm going to fry it. Like I said before, nothing wrong with having donut scraps as a option for donuts. So. All right, so my oil got a little over temp, so I'm going to bring it down and pull it off, let it cool down for a second. I want the oil to be at 375, okay? Candy thermometer is right next to the door when you buy that scale. You have to have a candy thermometer, you really do, if you want to fry things. If you don't, you gotta just eyeball it. You throw it in and you hope that you see a nice fry to it, but it is so much easier if you use a thermometer.
I've got a
Not a
little,
yeah.
I got a little bit of Wikipedia trivia. It says, it's thought that the inventor of the donut was a sailor on a ship. He didn't like how the fried cakes the cook served were always doughy and greasy in the middle, and he decided to punch a hole in the middle of the raw dough so that it would cook all the way through more evenly.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really awesome. All right, almost there.
Can you make
So-
those donuts like ovals instead of round circles?
Yeah, I mean, like get them so you can put jelly fill.
Oh yeah, that too.
I know my favorite donut is jelly. It's always good because my son hates jelly donuts. So every time we get donuts, I'll get a jelly donut. He can't have any. Dad, I'm just get a donut I like. Well, the reason why is so I can have my own donut. All right. So donuts are cut. Make a little more donut holes with any of the scraps. All right, so back down to 375. Let's start off with the scraps. Oops. So I'm going to throw them in. Look at the time. This is important because you want, for scraps, you want to do a minute per scrap. So I now have, I started at 35 seconds, went up to 55 seconds. I know which one's which. So slide spoon, this all works, okay? Get yourself a sheet pan with a wire rack so they can cool. And you don't want them to kind of sit on themselves. So, all right, so we're there. Flip. Flip. Once again, who's going to create smell-o-vision? Because these smell so delicious. Perfect. So one more minute. And we're almost there.
We have a comment. It's a torture not be able to. It's a torture not to be able to smell or taste anything while you're cooking it.
I know it is a torture, but you know, torture you guys have to suffer, not me. Sorry, I know I'm cruel. And we got donut scraps. These are fun because they can guess, they look like states, they look like dogs, they look like all sorts of stuff. So, all right, so we've done the donut scraps. I'm gonna put the scraps off to the side. And let's work onto the donut holes. These take about 1.5 minutes. So look at this time. Don't overcrowd your fryer, okay? If it takes you a little while to fry, it takes you a little while to fry. You want to have at least some space between the donut holes. So they're gonna drop down to the bottom of the oil, and then they're gonna flop back up. So, all right. Yeah, doesn't that look beautiful? What do we have here? We got a donut. They're delicious. See that?
Well, that looks great.
That's all the thing. Nothing
You
better
have
than
me,
a donut.
you have me thinking about beignets now.
I know, huh? Beignets are awesome. If you have some beignets, my suggestion with your coconut cream pie that you have, you dip the beignets in the coconut cream pie. Those things together are unbelievable.
Oh my God, don't put ideas like that in my head.
No.
I'm going to be 10 pounds heavier by Monday.
That's the ticket. All right, so
Right?
that's been a minute and a half. Start flipping my holes. All right, so another minute and a half. Having a timer is good. I have just a regular clock I'm using because it's just there, and I'm used to using it. So, all right, so that is that. What are we going to put on these things? All right, so put this off to the side. And up as I go. Keep an eye on the clock. Eye on the prize, baby. Donuts. Time to make the glaze. Almost there. Doing two things at once is fun because you get things done, accomplished. But if you can't, just concentrate on frying, and then once you're done frying, make the glaze. So, the holes are done. Pull them out. Last but not least, the donuts.
Yay.
All right, so on the glaze, put a pot down, medium heat. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quarter cup of milk, heavy cream, whatever you like. You're going to pour that in. And you're going to bring that up to a simmer. You're going to get 2 cups of powdered sugar. I strongly suggest sifting it so you get the clumps out and it's easier to incorporate. But, you know, if you don't, it won't be the end of the world. You might have little clumps in there. You don't have to be, this is one of those things you can have a little more freedom with. It's definitely not going to screw things up if you don't have everything measured out perfectly. So. All right, on the last 30 seconds, while the glaze is heating up, we're going to flip the donuts. See the donut holes? Yes, these are delicious.
They look so awesome. It's like I want to make half donuts and make smiley faces with the donut holes and a big round smile.
I know it's not the truth. You can do whatever you want. Donuts definitely, and you can cook them however, whenever. So, like I said, people, when you make the batter, you need to let it sit for at least 4 hours. So if you want to, for a family treat, you want to make donuts in the morning, make them the day ahead, and then you're going to have them, and they're going to be perfect. All right, so the cream is coming up to a simmer. I'm going to slowly incorporate the powdered sugar into the cream. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to have the basic glaze. Heat up, let the sugar incorporate. Tastes good. Pull the donuts out. While making more donuts in. Okay, donuts. All right, so now that the glaze has been made, what I'm going to do here, get a pot of water right here, put that right there, bring it down to a simmer. And I'm going to hold the glaze over the hot water so the glaze doesn't congeal. There we go. We got glaze. Let's see if I can find my pastry brush. Oops. Pastry brush. Glaze, glaze, glaze. Get yourself a glazed donut. Boom.
Do you
All right, so
recommend,
what's next?
do you recommend
Yeah.
glazing them like that or putting them on a sheet and just drizzling over it?
You can do either way. I like to. You can have that streak of glaze, or you can have a perfectly glazed donut. It's whatever you like, or you can just dip it in, like boom, boom.
Oh, I
Boom.
like it that way. Yeah, I like a little donut with my glaze.
Is that the truth? If your oil becomes compromised, that means if you've been frying too much of it stuff in it, I would strongly suggest putting up some new oil. So you don't want to have actually, I'm not using this one. You don't want to have oil that's been overly used. So once it's like a great way of understanding when oil has gone rancid, smell it, smell a crayon, then smell the oil. If the oil smells like crayons, your oil's rancid, throw it out, don't use it. Okay. So what am I making next? Three ways of
Are you making the banana donuts?
no, not yet, but I will be able to do that because this is going to take 1 second to make right here. So I got 2.5 cups of brown sugar. You can use white sugar, but I like brown sugar. 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Oops. Let's unplug that so that doesn't happen again. There we go. We got cinnamon sugar.
Oh, that looks so good. I remember being a kid loving cinnamon sugar toast.
Yeah, no, isn't it just unbelievable? Cinnamon sugar. Voila. All right, Bob alluded to my secret that I was going to teach everybody. All right, we now know how to make a very complex apple cider donut. All right, they're fun, they're hard. They're not that hard, but they're time. It takes time to make them. I don't feel like spending that much time making a donut. Rico, can you make me a donut that doesn't take that long? Yes, I can. Okay. Bringing the scale back out. Move this away. What are we gonna make? Banana donuts. Okay, people. We all want banana donuts. This is what we all love. This takes about 2 ingredients: banana and self-rising flour. Okay. So bring back that little mini Cuisinart. Plug that in. Put your bananas in here. Just take 2 bananas to start with. This is also one of those things you can measure out. What we have here is we got 1/3 cup banana, or 88 grams. So you want to puree that up. All right, so I got banana puree. You want to use overripe bananas. This is important. Definitely makes it better. Bring this up. Why is it only 2 ingredients? Well, after I showed you all these things that make this donut, because you're going to cheat and use, voila, self-rising flour. Okay, so I'm going to take about 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon, 71.5 grams of self-rising flour. Oh no, I went over. That's okay. Here's my bowl. There it is. This is one I've eyeballed this recipe, so I don't feel like it's as necessary to be super exact. There we go. Perfect. That over here. Zero it out. Put that right there. So 1/3 cup, 1/3 cup bananas pureed. Okay. Or the equivalent of 88 grams. Perfect. This. Got a little sidetrack here. Where is my spatula? I had to throw away my other spatula because it wasn't conforming to my standards. The spatula looks like it's also compromised. No cuts in it, starting to break or something. Throw it out and buy a new spatula, which I still have to buy a new spatula. I know you can use these cooking. I don't suggest it. I don't know why. I'm just, for the 30 years I've cooked, they've always said you can use these things to, like, in hot pans. I just don't trust it. I use wood or I use metal. So there we go. Let's incorporate this. You got yourself some banana donuts right there. All these things. Fry away. Look, I spent 45 minutes teaching you how to make apple cider donuts. I spent 2 minutes to teach you how to make banana donuts.
I love
Both are
that, Enrico.
delicious.
Enrico, before we end the session, can you let everybody know about your catering company and how you can help them out?
Yes, cerricatering.com. I specialize in parties. If you need meals delivered, I only do now large meals. So I'm going to revamp my website to show you that. So let's say you have a party of 4. Do you really look at all the dishes, look at all the stuff you have to do. There's a lot to deal with. Do you really want to have to go out, shop, buy all your food, come home, prepare the food, start cooking the food while everyone else is drinking and you're sitting there over a hot stove, and then after the party you have to clean it all up? No, that's horrible. Just scrap all that. Call me and I'll come over, give you a 4 to 5 course meal. I'll make sure everything's clean. I'll take care of everything for you. So just remember, if you need a party taken care of, call me up and let's work on a menu, and we'll specialize a perfectly delicious menu for you, and voila. So,
Bob, do you want to put his contact information in the chat box?
I had his phone number. There we go. Oh, I love that. Well, cerricatering.com is in his is on his video screen. I'll put your phone number again in the chat, Enrico. And it's awesome. 415-299-7483. Again, to get a hold of Enrico and Cerri Catering, the phone number is 415-299-7483. And it's cerricatering.com, cerricatering.com. So I highly recommend everybody to do that. I can totally resonate with Enrico's logic. I love home cooked meals, but I hate the time it takes and the mess to clean it up.
Very much.
And then look at the laundry he has to do.
Exactly. I know.
All that flour
So
on his
true.
dark shirt.
Yep. And who said I wasn't gonna get messy? It's like the Swedish chef. Love the Swedish chef.
Aren't you supposed to hug the chef as a gratitude?
I know. Come on, people. Where's my love?
Are you seeing large events coming again, Enrico, like weddings?
People are still scared. No, weddings are tough. People are still kind of doing small weddings, but yeah, it's starting to pick up a little bit. But COVID has been my nemesis, so like most people.
Mine too.
So if you know
Banana
anybody,
donuts.
ooh, that looks good. Those are the banana donuts.
Mm-hmm. See?
And you got the glaze and the cinnamon sugar all ready to go for them too.
Oh my God.
I want some. Where can we pick these up?
I know. I'm going to put your address in the chat, Enrico. They're all come to your door.
No. That's okay. If you want to come over. We'll have dinner.
But if anybody knows anybody doing a wedding or an event and feeling comfortable with, with the vaccines and meeting in person again, definitely recommend Enrico. He's the best.
And remember, I do office parties too. So if you have an office, I'll do that. I think we lost each other.
Well, it's your infamous chocolate peanut butter ball, so that's a good visual to have. I have to go to a 12-step program to wean myself off of them. They're so addictive.
Tell me about it. I know. Those are unbelievably addictive. All right, people. I'm going to exit. If you have any questions, let me know. But other than that, I got to take off because I got a whole kitchen to clean.
Well, Enrico, thank you very much. It's always great to have you on the coffee chat, and look forward to seeing you on a future event. And we'll be seeing everybody else on a future episode of Bob's Coffee Chat.